Welcome back to the Grad Centric Podcast. Today we're going to talk about saving for college. If I know one thing, it's that many families don't have a realistic understanding about what it's going to cost to go to college in today's dollars. If we look at total cost, if your student is going to live on campus for 4 years at just a normal state school, a lot of times that will end up being close to $100,000, and in some cases far more than that. If you're looking at a private school, really private schools tend to be like a used car lot. There's lots of discounting, lots of scholarships given out, but in many cases it just brings it back to that state school number, and it may be even worse. So many families, once they get their financial aid letter, end up looking at a financial aid package that's unmanageable in terms of what they're actually able to pay in today's dollars. Many families are not prepared for this. And one of the things I do tell families in my workshops that I give pretty regularly out there in the community, that it's not their fault. I recently published a blog post on my website talking about how college costs have risen over 1,120% in the last 30 years. That's pretty unmanageable in terms of the inflation of college compared towards the economy in general. So it's not your fault, but that doesn't mean that we don't need to plan. And there are many families out there that start to plan very early. I've had conversations with moms who are expecting and wanting to start planning for college for that baby that's not even born yet. So if you're one of those folks that's starting to think about how do I plan for college in terms of savings and in other areas, this is the podcast episode for you. And I tell families before we really start thinking about saving for college and what that looks like, you've got to take a step back and put together what I call a college funding strategy. So what is the college funding strategy? This is where you really start to think about, how am I going to pay for college, and out of what buckets am I going to pay for those expenses? So let's say one of your buckets is potentially scholarships. Another bucket might be current earnings. A lot of people don't think about that I'll actually be able to pay for some of these expenses as I'm working at the time. At least that's the hope. The next might be some bucket allocated to savings. So this is where you're putting your money away in whatever vehicle that looks like. And then finally, there's an allocation most likely for loans. And so loans might be something that you'll look at more closely as you get closer to the college process. But the good thing is maybe a college consultant or a trusted advisor can talk you through what it looks like to get funding in terms of loans and how much is offered in today's day and age from the government and from other sources. So let's say you've got current earnings. You've also got maybe some savings that you're putting away. Loans could be a piece of that. And then also scholarships. And so depending on your student's academic rigor, their academic potential, maybe it would be in merit in some type of merit aid in terms of playing the tuba or debate team, something along those lines. And then you might also have financial need that would bring in grants and scholarships from that angle as well. Those are really the buckets you have to look at. And so when you think about how much do we want to put in each bucket, then you've developed a pretty rigorous plan for funding college, and you can actually backstep from that and start calculating some of these numbers in terms of how much should I put away in savings versus how much should I expect in scholarships, how much should I expect or want to be able to pay towards college when my student is actually enrolled. So that's one of the first things I would say is you really have to step back when it comes to saving for college, develop that college funding strategy, and then go forward into implementing the plan. If you have any questions or need somebody to walk you through that process, feel free to reach out to me, Jason, at gradmetrics.com. Happy to answer those questions for you, and we'll see you on the next episode.